Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and welcome to Uganda at Crossroads here at Campfire TV, All Life MTV, wherever you're watching us from. Thank you so much. What you're doing is really great. Now, last week was a really very wonderful week for the politics of Uganda and, of course, Africa at large. We realized how the NRM government has celebrated its actually, the last 2 weeks, the NRM celebrated its 33 years in power, and other projects came up. They discovered so many things as their achievements. We also know that in the opposition party, there was again an alliance made. There's so many things and stories that developed over the last few weeks. But we want to thank you for joining us from wherever you are. There is one thing we want to ask you to do for us: share and invite as many people as you want, so that they can be part of this wonderful program. Last week, as we speak, we know that a few days ago, Kasirye Gwanga shot Catherine Kusasira's car. We also know that story that was all over social media, all over mainstream media, and many politicians criticized it on either side. So today, those are some of the stories that we're going to be looking into. And in the studio, I'm with the usual guys that we've always been here with to discuss the issues in Uganda. And for the first time in a row, I'm not going to mention any of your names. I want you guys one by one to introduce yourself to the people who are watching us right now. Let me start with you. I'm not mentioning a name.
All right, thank you so much for the wonderful opportunity. I'm exceedingly honored and humbled to be hosted again on this wonderful talk show, Uganda at Crossroads. My name is Hilary Innocent Taylor Seguia, and I'm a global youth leader. The week has started with All right, so we've had a tremendous week, and we are in a new month. As we all know, this is the Black History Month, where we talk about the likes of Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks. We go to Africa, we'll talk about also the great like Patricia Lumumba, Milka Cabro, Tom Mboya, Julius Nyerere, name it. So I'm very happy about this month, because we are going to celebrate the pride we carry in the black color that we have, and
thank you.
We shall give it a better word.
I said I'm not mentioning anybody's name, so everyone is going to introduce him or herself.
Yeah, my name is Kaziwe. I'm an advocate for change, and yeah, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to allow me to discuss the politics of the country.
Oh, thank you. Now the lady.
Good afternoon, our viewers that are watching us from the East Coast, West Coast, who are watching us from Africa, Uganda, and all over the world. Definitely, this is our home, Uganda at Crossroads, and we get an opportunity to discuss the issues that happen in Uganda. It's always interesting. Every week, new stuff, new happenings. Uganda is a house of comedy.
Yeah, so Uganda is a house of comedy, and I want to thank you for all of you guys, Kazuwe, Hilary, and Sarah. I want to thank you so much. Now, let's start with what happened with NRM celebrated 33 years in power. I remember they started in 1986. their journey didn't start in 1986. It started actually in the early 1980s, probably 1981. So they celebrated so many achievements over the years. We have seen bridges and other things. What's your take on that? Let me start with Hillary.
Yes, as NRM was celebrating 33 years in power, also Ugandans in diaspora, mainly those in the US, were also having a conversation with the next president of Uganda, His Excellency Kyagulanyi Robert Sentamu. So they had a conversation in Washington, D.C., and I would like to thank all Ugandans who represented us in that conversation. The team from Boston, the likes of Kabuye Boston, the likes of Alex, the likes of, Babiya Leira in New York, the likes of Victor Mukasa in Maryland, and many other people from different states. So there was nothing to celebrate for the 33 years because we've lived in extreme poverty for 33 years. You see that all systems are rotten, and there is nothing that can call upon, can bring Ugandans to celebrate about. Because if you want to assess the leadership of President Museveni, then you're going to talk about the socioeconomic transformation since 1986 to date. And you see that our socioeconomic transformation has been growing at a slow pace. If in 1986 our currency value was weighing 60 shillings compared to the US dollar, and today, you see that the Ugandan shilling is equivalent to is valuing 3,700 to the US dollar. Then you see the mess this government of Mr. Museveni has put our economy in. So look at that figure. 1986, the Ugandan shilling was at 60 to the US dollar. Today, the Ugandan shilling is at 3,700. Where is our country going? There's nothing to celebrate about. In the 80s, you'll see that education, we had very good quality education. But today, in 33 years, you see that our top university, Makerere, is in chaos. The students are, held on rampage because lecturers have failed to teach, and the government can't sort out simple issues. So I think go to agriculture. Agriculture used to be our economic backbone. 80% of the population used to engage in the agriculture sector. But today, the people are shunning away from the agriculture sector. Then talk about peace and security. It is this government of Mr. Museveni that was creating insecurities. And again, it was pretending to create solutions to their own problems. Right. So I think there is nothing to celebrate about.
All right.
The only message we have is to tell Mr. Museveni that enough is enough, just step aside and we get a new leader who can take our country forward. Otherwise, there is no vision that NRM can better our country.
All right, sure, thank you. Because one of the things that NRM has celebrated recently is the National Bridge. President Museveni recently opened up a farm for his son-in-law and daughter, Rabongo, and so many other things. What is your take on the NRM 33 years celebration?
I will concentrate on the word celebration. To celebrate, you need to have achieved something. It's I'll give an example of soccer. When like you have a goal, you score a goal, you celebrate, and after you win the season, you celebrate. Celebration should be something like positive, right? If you just grow old and you grow old negatively, I don't understand what you are celebrating. In other words, they were not celebrating 33 years of power. It looks to me like they are celebrating 33 years of maintaining power to themselves and then having achieved, wanting to achieve more of keeping themselves in power. Yeah, so I don't see, if we break down the way my friend here has broken it down, security, health, transportation, they have failed at everything. So we don't see why we have this celebration that, we should be having them.
Thank you. Sarah, we understand that in 33 years of NRM, there has been introduction of universal primary education, there has been introduction of universal secondary education. So we understand now the president's wife, in other words, the first lady of the Republic of Uganda, is the Minister for Education. What's your take on NRM achievement in regards to education and probably, let's say, sports?
If you still have a number of pupils who cannot even read and write, yet introduced a free primary education, and then you cannot even afford to pay teachers for them to go and teach these, because if you look at the salaries for primary school teachers, they earn less than $100. So you have basically the worst thing that has ever happened in this regime was to take away the opportunity for families or parents to be able to pay school fees for their own children. Because if you look at the past years, you had a quality of graduates, of students who could read and write, who could understand. Now, basically, sometimes you marry as someone who has finished primary 7, and they cannot even write properly, they cannot even read, but they've gone through the system. With UPE, a child is not supposed to repeat a class. They keep on taking them to the next class. They keep on. So it has done more harm than good that you have a breed of what you call future leaders, future teachers, who are not well prepared. So they're not going to help you much. But again, as you speak of celebrating 33 years, one of the things that happened, I think early this week, as the celebrations were going on, a young lady gave birth to 6 kids.
Right.
Very interesting. In fact, when I saw the news, I'm like, oh my God, this is a blessing. I was taking the blessing myself. I'm like, God, you need to bless me with this. 6 kids. And I saw in Zambia, she put the hospital at a standstill. The nurses were excited. How did we lose all the 6 kids? Because they were being transported to, these kids were born as prematures. They were being transported to Mulago, where they are incubators, and they were put in a car, a normal car with no oxygen, that does not facilitate transporting prematures. Because how did that happen? And I'm like, because it's a failed system. If that happened to anyone in a developed country, I am telling you, that hospital would be paying millions and millions of dollars. How could we lose all the 6 babies at once? How could you put 6 babies in a normal car with all that heat? In fact, I was still thinking and overwhelmed with the news of the 6. I was looking at this young girl who had given birth to 6 kids, and I was so happy for her. And the next day on the news, all the 6 babies were gone. What's wrong with Uganda?
So
how could let's say? So you mean it's only Mulago in the entire country that has incubators for kids that are born as prematures? We do not have proper facilities to take care of kids that are born, because that is news. Because I'm telling you, for anyone, because I don't think she's been using any vitro fertilization. These are kids that were born normally, and maybe someone conceived normally. People would want to know more what's the history of this woman. In developed countries, this woman will be taken up for a study.
Speaking of health and education, today I'm going to mix the comments that are coming in with our discussion here. Johnny Samba says, in 86, there was only 1 university. Today we have over 45 universities in the country, which appears to be a kind of like an achievement for the country.
But the 45 universities you're talking about, what are the products? What are they producing? What is the use of you having 10 acres of land, yet you cannot even yield 1 sack of maize? The 45 universities you have, what are the products they are producing? There used to be 1 university, as you claim, but the products that used to come from that university was quality. What is the use of having quantity when they don't even fit into what you have into the job market? So the issue is not having so many universities. As you accumulate universities, are they equipped enough to give knowledge, to produce the right products to go into the job market? It is not a matter of accumulating universities, yet they are producing half-baked students.
All right, thank you. So it's interesting. Here, you want to add anything on that before we leave that topic?
I could add on something what Sarah said, because it's she was giving us key points. And again, you see, the government has embraced the issue of prioritizing institutions, mainly like the universities. So, but it has been so reluctant to ensure that we have quality privatized institutions, because for the fact that we have each year we get over 40,000 graduates from all the universities or higher learning institutions talked about, and they enter the labor force, but they can't find jobs, and they can't also match the needs of the labor market. Then it's a big problem to the government. Because it's the government that has to ensure that it works hand in hand with the private sector. But again, if the government has failed to cover all those loopholes, if the government has failed to create employment opportunities, to develop human capital for our young people, to ensure that they realize their potential, other than going to the Gulf countries and they do domestic work for someone who has studied law, wasting 6 years at the university, and you're going to Saudi Arabia or Bahrain or Qatar to work as a maid, then it's so embarrassing, and it's a shame to this government of Mr. Museveni. And again, for me, with these 33 years of Mr. Museveni, for me, I will just remember the lives of the great people we lost, other than celebrating, because there is no need of celebrating. We have to remember the death of Andrew Kaira Rutakome. You know how he was killed in 1982.
We have never
by
received
this
the report.
regime of Mr. Museveni. Up to now, we haven't received the report. Who are the people who killed?
I think we should take that as a...
Because we're waiting for the Scotland Yard in UK to give us a report. But again, this government is responsible for the death of that leader. Very many people. Now look at the death of the former Chief of Defense Force, General Aronda Nyakairima, how he died. Look at also the death of the former legislator, Selina Nebanda. Up to now, we are still wondering what led to the death of that very powerful legislator we lost. Then look at the massacre we had in Kasese by this regime of Mr. Museveni.
Well, I think for that case, the government has the authority to keep some information for the security of the country, right? So I want to take you off from that. I understand people really would like us to talk more about it, but there is what is going on right now, the People Power slogan, and to some it's a now movement, others it's a name for an organization or a company or political party. I want to start with Kaziwe. The People Power movement, as you already know, that it has been a movement and still a movement. We haven't seen it anywhere registered as a political party or an organization. What we do know right now is that there are people who own the slogan of People Power. There is a political party who owns the slogan of People Power. What's your take on that, based on the current issue that is going on?
People Power is a movement. It's in people's hearts. It's in people's beliefs and faith. That's the best way I can describe it. Whether you register it or you don't register it, we know our goal. We know what we want, and we know who we support to get to what we want. Yeah, if we all, like Bobi Wine tells us, we all face the same problems, we all have the same challenges, we all have the same issues that we want to tackle. So whether you register it as a company or as a party, for us, we shall continue with our slogans, we shall continue with our colors, and then eventually we shall get to where we want to go. People Power, the name People Power did not start from Uganda. They have used it all over the world in different countries to overcome the dictators in those countries. And the color, anyone can put on any color they want. So whether they register it or because these are tactics that these people came from the bush. They come and disorganize you and make you think that you don't have a plan, you don't have a strategy, so you don't. I mean, people is just a name.
All right.
What matters here is the goal. What matters here is the point. If we want, if our goal is to get Museveni out of power, that is our goal, so that our issues can be addressed.
All right. So, Harry, People Power movement seems to be a very disorganized movement ever in the Republic of Uganda, and here's the reason why. The reason why today we have confusion over who owns the name, it's because the movement directors or the think tanks of the organization have not taken a chance to ensure that the name is protected. Because trust me, everybody who's watching us right now, they want to use the name. The people who support People Power would like that name to go on and on and on. Isn't there a problem within the association or the movement?
Well, if you use such rhetoric that People Power movement is disorganized, I think you're definitely wrong about it. It's a pressure movement, and that's how pressure movements work. So it's very hard for any government entity to sabotage a pressure movement like ours of People Power. And again, you see, this promoter is just exposing himself to be more of a bright fool, because if someone, got a clause from our constitution that power belongs to the people, because that's the clause Bobby Wine and his followers picked from Article 1 of our constitution of 1995. So if someone comes and claims ownership of our Article 1 of the constitution, then that's treason. In fact, the government of Uganda should put Balaam in jail, because you can't mess up with our constitution. You can't say that you're owning Article 1 of our constitution. As who? By the way, that promoter is also trying to expose himself as an element of a middleman, because now they know very well, they've understood Mr. Museveni. Now they are looking for ways, how can we get money from this old man, the president? Because these are schemes. Now they are making money. So Balaam knows he wants to get money. So he's thinking of ways, how can I get money from the president? If I tell him I register People Power, he will be happy. He can pay me like $1 billion. That's the problem with our country. So they think they're going to come up with plans of sabotage. They go to the old man's office in State House, and they think they'll leave with sacks of monies. But they are wasting taxpayers' money like that. So if the president thinks that he's going to pay Balaam for registering People Power, then he's wasting his time. And look at this country where we are in America, because the incumbent president, Donald Trump, has the slogan, MAGA, Make America Great Again. That slogan was used by Ronald Reagan in 1980 when he was campaigning, and he became president. Only that Ronald Reagan said, let's make America great again. So in 2016, Donald Trump also came with the same slogan, Make America Great Again.
So you say
no one owns such slogans unless when you've registered it as a trademark, like for the case of Donald Trump, because for him he said, I have to register it as a trademark, because legalities here are different compared to the politics of our country. But again, if Balaam wants to mess up with slogans, let him try slogans like Bubu, because now Uganda has come up with a new slogan, Bubu, buy Uganda, build Uganda. So if he wants to get money from the government, let him claim the ownership of Bubu. No one will complain about him. But if he's claiming the ownership of People Power, then problems are going to start. And trust me, our movement won't stop, because we are going to speak up every now and then until we see President Museveni out of power in 2021. And change is coming, and change is inevitable.
All right, so thank you. Sarah, I'm coming to you. Uganda Meritocracy Party owns the slogan People Power. And the same slogan is being used by the People Power movement, which appears to be like the name of the movement itself. So, and they're in support of what's going on Bobi Wine's case. Will there be a problem, just in case Bobi Wine wins elections?
The question you would have asked, because I took a lot of time in the beginning where I educated people on what is People Power and who is People Power. people power is a slogan and it's a mindset. If you're saying you're registering people power, then you're in other words telling us you're registering all of us. Because this people power is me and you. It is me believing that I have the power to cause change. It is in the constitution of Uganda that the power belongs to the people, if I'm not mistaken. It is like waking up in the morning and saying you're registering, you're going to register how is it, forgotten my country.
The motto.
Yeah, it's like waking up and say, oh, forgotten my country is now my company. And again, for me, it was one of the elements of where people look for cheap popularity and having people on the other side. I do not know why people in Inarima don't have any innovativeness. Everything you see they do is copy. And even if you register in people power, it is just a word. The problems of Ugandans are not even in that word. The problems of Ugandans are things that affect them individually. And again, I like what Tabani Mirundi noted and saying, you register, these are words that are created every day. So are they going out to register Webedemu? Yeah? Are they going to register Funandagamu? Because it's also a slogan that is running all over social media. Are they going to register also Free Bobby Wine? Because that was an hashtag that went so viral. So are they going to register Funandagamu? Someone is going to wake up and register that. So in fact, I made an argument that people are becoming so shallow and they're no longer using their brains to think that tomorrow someone is going to wake up and your name is saying and saying, David, now they're going to register your name. But it is those are small things to distract Ugandans. We know exactly the bigger problems. The bigger problems are the people being evicted from lands and the continuous murders without having solutions, and the people clinging on power for a very long time. And they feel this is maybe a condom, or they feel they bought Uganda. So the problems of Uganda are bigger than these few individuals that are trying to register. Because from when I was watching the whoever registered on TV, what they said, oh, they're registering it to help elderly women. Why don't you start by helping these elderly? There are so many people, elderly, that need a lot of help. And because you want the 5 minutes of fame, you start with, oh, I'm registering an organization. Why don't you start by helping them? Do you think these women care, or the elderly care about an organization? They care about getting the service. Give them the service. They don't need the name. So it was, for me, it was a sign of shallowness, why you see people. So now, and I have an organization helping the elderly called People Power. And again, from what Hilary said, I think people, from what I see is individuals trying to put pressure on the drivers of the movement to go and register something. But what you understand, when people from beginning, that's why I keep saying people are fighting when they don't understand. From beginning, Bobby Wine has been very clear and told you, this is us, it is me and you. You cannot, when you start registering and formalize something that is us and me and you, then you start giving people titles. You can imagine, people, you know, what the movement has been able to achieve, whatever it has achieved, and it has reached so many individuals, even President Museveni inclusive, because it has so many spokeswomen and men. We are seated here, you know, fighting, wanting change in Uganda. We are activists of change. We are not on a payroll. If you had someone from NRM here, either they are paying, or that they are going to go back and ask for fuel. So you have so many. I see on social media, I have seen there is a Facebook page called the Choto. I see people in UK. I see people in the Middle East. I see people all over the world. I see people all over the world. Whoever is able and willing to use their voice, people are adding their voice. Whether they're in Uganda, wherever they're there, and that's what you need. You need Ugandans unifying and not to be defined by a party, that I belong to this party and the spokesperson to the party is Hillary. So that means I can't speak for what I see because, oh, Hillary has to say, oh, if I have to say something, I have to go through Hillary. So everyone, because this is our Uganda, we want to see the change, all of us, because we know for 33 years we've seen. So we can speak at the voices of what we see.
All right, thank you so much. Reminding you, this show is sponsored by Joe Malaika, fashion designer, and of course, if you want to order clothes, go to his website, Joe Malaika, or Facebook page. You can get in touch with him. He's organizing a show this year, 2019, in Kampala, Uganda. All details will be brought to you, or you can read on the raw thread and see what's going on. So we want to thank you so much for people who are watching us from wherever you are. This is Uganda at Crossroads. Now, we have just talked about people power, and it's very interesting that as we speak today, over the years, Bobi Wine has been shying away or has been avoiding the question, do you want to stand as a president? And recently on CNN, in his interview, he said him and his team are considering taking the step. Now, let me start with you, Harry. Is this going to be a good move, or?
Well, everyone has been waiting for that moment, and I think that interview was awesome, because when I watched the interview, I felt so happy, and he told us that I and my team, we are considering to challenge President Museveni. So we are going to start from LC1 up to the top office. We're not only looking at the office of the president, but also from LC1, because we want to change or to reform our country from the grassroots up to the top office. So from LC1, LC2, LC3, LC4, LC5, our RDC, go to Member of Parliament, go to the office of the president. We are going to create a very strong pressure movement of people power. We are encouraging young or youth to stand for different positions. So if you are in Nakawa and you believe in change, you are tired of the status quo, Bobi Wine is simply talking to you that go and stand. Start mobilizing, so that you bring the change in your community that you want to see. Just like Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see. So if you are a youth in Katanga, a slum area, and you believe that your LC3 is not doing the right job, Bobi Wine is talking to you. It's the right time to stand now. Start mobilizing. Use the resources you have. Build networks, build teams, and see how you stand in 2021. Because we want changes everywhere. And Bobi Wine, trust me, he has been talking to different political parties. So they're building something that will be so strong. And I believe whatever the outcome will be, we shall be lining up that one person to ensure that we challenge President Museveni, because we are tired, the time has elapsed, and we want a new face for our country to move forward. All right, so I support him 100%, and if he is to stand, then I'm going to support him 100%.
All right, thank you.
Letters in capital letters.
So, because this is very interesting that Mohammed Isirokon, one of the local radios in Uganda, suggested that it won't be possible for Bobi Wine to win elections if he comes in as an independent. And one of the reasons he gave, Uganda's politics is always about political parties or alliances. So the only way he can survive is creating an alliance. What is your take on that?
All right. First of all, let me talk about what Hillary has been talking about. You said Bobi Wine has been shying away from the question of standing for president. I don't think he's been shying away. When this people power pressure group was started, it is a people power thing. It's for us, all of us. So I feel Bobi Wine has been in a position whereby he wanted to look for the best candidate for that position. And it has come to a point whereby we feel he's the best candidate that can take on Museveni right now. Because all the people we see who have the political power are either the old league who have failed so many times, and the new league people, the young, don't have as much popularity and as much, like, people don't know them the way they know Bobi Wine. So as we speak right now, I feel and I know Bobi Wine is the best candidate to challenge Museveni. So it's not an answer that came out of the blue. Yeah. It's something that he's been considering, and that's why he didn't give the answer the other time That's why he gives the answer this time. Talking about Nsereko and so you see, people power, going back to the first question we had, why it was not registered. We do want people from all walks of life. People power came from the fact that we have the challenges that the NRM has failed to address. The issues that we have that NRM has failed to address. So here comes a pressure group that gets people from all political parties. It gets from Democratic Party, it gets from FDC, and also from NRM. And if you're out there and you're NRM, just know the People Power Pressure Group or the movement needs you, especially if you are for Uganda and not for NRM. Because I think all of us should be for Uganda first before we go into political parties. So Nsereko wants to tie down Bobi Wine into a certain kind of party. He wants to tie him down to, say, FDC or NRM, or instead of being a president of the people. And I feel that is not going to work, because what we want right now, we want support from everyone who loves Uganda. We want support from everyone who wants change. We want support from everyone who wants issues addressed. You want good health care, you want good education, you want good transportation, you want systems, you want structures, you want courts of law to work. We need you. And we are not going to do that in a system that has already failed.
All right.
NRM has failed. We know that. And these people who are, the political parties who are challenging NRM, they have also failed. The last elections we had, DP didn't even have a candidate.
Right.
And FDC, we cannot tie down our president into one political party. We need everyone to come on board. So I don't think Nsereko's argument can work right now. We need, when Museveni was coming into power, he had to get from everyone.
All right, sir.
Kind of thing
All right, thank you, sir.
Can I just interject a little
please.
from what he said?
Yes.
It is very hypocritical for Nsereko to be talking about Bobi Wine cannot come as an independent, yet Nsereko is in parliament as an independent.
Yeah.
Nsereko, he was thrown out as from NRM, and for 2 times he has come back to parliament as an independent. Who voted for him? He does not belong to any political party. Who voted for him? It is those people who love exactly what he does. It is those people who love what he stands for. Because if he was NRM and he was thrown out of NRM, why didn't the person who stood on the NRM ticket, why didn't the person win? So it is very hypocritical. And one of the things I see with most of these politicians, I've seen the likes of Nambozi and Nsereko, they're so threatened by Bobi Wine. These are guys who thought they understood politics more, or they spoke louder, or they were better shouting. Yeah. And this is not about shouting. This is about someone who is willing and ready and to effectively drive change. The things Bobi Wine is talking about, all the things he's projecting right now, have been happening in Uganda, even way back. But these guys have been quiet, They have been quiet, focusing on issues that totally have nothing to do with what happens with the masses. So Bobi Wine has come up. He's a newcomer, maybe in politics. But you see, being a newcomer in politics does not take away that you understand the issues of the country. He may be a newcomer in politics, but he has been singing about the social injustices longer than those politicians, some of the politicians. He has been singing for as long as he started music. If you listen to his songs 10 years, 15 years back, he has been singing about the injustices happening to Ugandans. So it is very hypocritical of him. And if people have managed to vote for him twice as an independent, then Ugandans, because there are so many Ugandans that don't have parties. You know that? The biggest population of Ugandans, the 75% of Ugandans, the young generation, do not have parties. Most of these parties are crowded by the old folks. They do not, because people have been born in an environment which party do you subscribe to? Most of the Ugandans don't. So, and again, it is very unfair to get Ugandans or to get and say, and what has parties really done? You see what happens, you see parties fighting now and then, and you see people breaking away from FDC, and they're saying this is the more. When you look at, by the time we went into the 2016 elections, there was literally no DP. DP got revolved. DP ended up becoming the party of this guy, Mbabazi. They were all eaten up by Mbabazi. Where is the part of Mbabazi now? It is gone. You hear nothing of it. There's no activity. There is nothing. So you can imagine a party like DP that has been around for over 20 years just gets, just in just a minute, they are fleeced into something as small as go forward. And they almost became a non-existent. It is right now that you see Mao is moving all over the country, trying to unify and bring DP members together. Because I was shocked when I saw everyone joining Mbabazi, and Mbabazi no more. Look at other parties. Okay, FDC has been able to stand the test of time, but you see they're fighting every day. There are more in FDC who are working for NRM. And NRM has only money to stay in power because they have all the state machinery. So for Ugandans, for someone to be able to even stand against Museveni, they should be able to stand for the people, not for any political party. Because the issue that is affecting Uganda right now is not who belongs to which party. It is who is willing to take power from Museveni, who has been in power for 33 years. And we are not, literally, we don't see light at the end of the tunnel. The light is out. He has taken us to, he cannot even take us out of what he has taken us into. So you do not, political parties don't work in this issue. We just need someone who is able to speak the language that people understand and able to take us from where we are right now, from the slavery Ugandans are in right now, where you have Chinese controlling you, where you have a few individuals, a few mafias enjoying the wealth of Ugandans, where you have women crying of being raped, where you have people, you wake up today and your mother has no house. She can call you that the house was demolished, someone took over the land. So we need someone who is able to speak for the masses who are voiceless, not a political party.
All right, thank you so much. I think we can't go further from that based on our time today. But let me hear from you here. Everyone is going to give us your final conclusion on the issue of Bobi Wine for presidency. He seems to be a very determined guy, and he is not sure whether him or somebody else will stand in. What's your final say on the issue of if he supports somebody else and he doesn't stand in?
Well, I'm sure beyond doubt Bobi Wine is going to stand for presidency.
All right.
And he's going to win the dictator, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Bobi Wine has all the qualities that can take him to the Oval Office. And I believe Ugandans have the trust in him. And I believe the young generation mainly is going to line behind him to ensure that he becomes the next president of Uganda come 2021. So let no one deceive you that new formation with Mugisha Muntu is going to come and become the, because I've had different stories that now you see Bobi Wine has to line behind Mugisha Muntu because Mugisha Muntu is a military man. He can easily defeat dictator General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. But I mean, who says so? Where is it written in history? So people should have positive mindsets about this issue. Because this time around, it's a new challenge the dictator is facing.
All right.
He has never faced this in the last 33 years. This is a shock that is going to give them sleepless nights. And they have nothing to do.
All right,
because the young man is going to lead.
All right,
so it's high time we get a new leader. Because right now we have a new campaign called Not Too Young to Run. So I encourage all Ugandans who are watching, wherever you are, let's line up behind every young person who stands in different political positions. Let's not only focus on the office of the president, but also other positions, because we want young parliamentarians who are fighting for the people, not who are fighting for themselves and their stomachs.
All right.
So that's how we are going to change our Uganda.
All right,
so let's support Bobi Wine, and I'm sure beyond doubt he's going to win, and he'll be the next president.
All right, thank you, Harry. Kaziwe, if he doesn't stand, will you be disappointed? And if things go that way, will you vote for him if he comes another time?
Bobi Wine, unlike other candidates who have stood against Museveni, Museveni has been has been having an advantage of campaigning for 5 years and then compete with people who campaign only for 2 months. He campaigns throughout the 5 years. He goes to central Uganda, northern Uganda, eastern Uganda, all the time throughout the 5 years. And then in the last 2 months, he wants people to campaign against him, and what do you expect? Bobi Wine is the kind of person who's doing this too. I think you've noticed that. That's why they are stopping his concerts. That's why they are stopping his movements. That's why they are trying to like tie him down. So, like I said, as of now, the best, not just people power, but the best opposition candidate we have is Bobi Wine. I don't see anyone else standing in his place.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But if anyone else stood, and they like I told you, I'm an advocate for change. If anyone came up and they show they have a good, they have better policies. They have Uganda at heart, and it's not there because Bobi Wine has showed us that he looks way above the individual. Bobi Wine had an option to stay doing his music. He was rich already. He could have just been to the beach with his kids and wife and eaten the money, but he decided to give all that up to stand for us, for our issues and our problems. If anyone comes who has that kind of character, who has that kind of heart, who has Uganda at heart, I will support him. But like I said, right now, Bobi Wine is the best candidate for the country.
All right, thank you. So, so I want to come to you on the issue as we conclude, and the issue of their plans that they want to introduce the president to be probably elected through the parliamentary committee or through the parliament. Like, it's within the parliamentarians that they choose a president. So, what would be your view if the law comes in that the president is through the parliament, not through the people? What's your view?
You see, I've had a little bit of individuals saying that, and I'm like, for 33 years, what are you scared of? Why are these guys so scared? They've been in power for 33 years. They have the state mechanism. They know, they have everything. They elect the electoral commission. Why are they so scared? Because they know they've failed us, the Ugandans. So, for me, that would have been be really it's a sign of cowardness, because why don't you want the masses? And I'm telling you, those are things that are again that will force an uprising to happen. Then that ceases to be a democracy. That ends up becoming a state where a few individuals make the decisions because you've paid them. We've seen how they changed the constitution after paying them 15 million each. And some of these MPs are now scared because in 2021, some of them are not coming back. And they know it. They are scared. They have loans. They have all this and that. And to add on what they say, me myself, if Bobi Wine did not stand, I would give him a phone call. I would give him a phone call. And I would hash out, all my disappointments and tough words to him. Because who else do you want to stand if it's not Bobi Wine? Dr. Kizza Besigye has tried a number of times. So why would Bobi Wine, who is fresh with all these new ideas, stand behind someone who has been standing for 4 or 5 times?
All right.
Who is bewitching Uganda? Give me any other person. Who has shown you? Have you ever seen someone in opposition that has gotten support from all over the world? Just give me a name of anyone who is in opposition that has gotten support from Ugandans living all over the world. It is only Bobi Wine. Bobi Wine attracts international media. If he's not really ready, he will be ready. No one is ready.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. You can't go far from there. And for people who are watching us live from wherever you are, in Qatar, Dubai, South Africa, Uganda, Kenya, I can't mention all the countries, but I just want to say that thank you so much for being part of Uganda Crossroads. We will be here back next Saturday, same time, same venue, almost same guests, some individuals plus others who will come in, and we ask each and every one of you to keep on sharing our programs. So we need 1 million viewership in every show we come here and sit and discuss issues. So we want to thank you so much. My name is David Lubura. See you next Saturday. Bye.